We really pride ourselves on not only having, great, amazing chocolate but also having a fantastic retail experience, personable people who, care about the occasion that you're coming for. Employees in shops and our gifting concierges are really just there to help you find that special occasion in your life or help you find that special treat for yourself.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Scott McTavish. He's the VP of Strategy and Corporate Development at Purdys. Scott, welcome to the show.
Great to be here.
Great to have you. So, Scott, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Scott. I live in Vancouver, British Columbia. I'm the VP of Strategy and Corporate Development at Purdys Chocolatier. If you don't know us, we are Canada's chocolatier. We're an 115-year-old business, started in Vancouver in 1907. We've been making the best caramels, confections, and chocolates in Canada for all of those 115 years. We've got 81 shops across Canada, and we're online and in fundraising as well.
Wow, that's fantastic. So, Purdys Chocolatier, tell me a little bit more about you.
We're Canada's oldest chocolatier. We make all of our chocolates here in Vancouver, British Columbia. So we produce everything ourselves. We have a mix of sort of artisanal at scale. It's kind of how we do things. So we really keep a lot of our amazing artisanal processes that make us who we are, cooking caramel in small batches, making chocolates in small batches, adding those like hand touches. That's a big part of our products. And we're primarily a retailer. We're a retailer by history. And, we really pride ourselves on not only having, great, amazing chocolate and sustainable cocoa, but also having a fantastic retail experience, having a great, really personable people who, care about the occasion that you're coming for. Because for us, it's all about occasions, right? We cater to people who want to be thoughtful to others in their lives. They want to go out and they want to demonstrate that thoughtfulness in some way. And so our people are employees in shops and our gifting concierges are really just there to help you find that special occasion in your life or help you find that special treat for yourself.
Yeah.
So that's a bit about us. I mean, for me, I took a bit of a circuitous route to where I'm at. I originally studied engineering in university. I did geological engineering, which is like a lot of words, but essentially relates to the mining industry. And then decided that wasn't quite for me. And ended up being in management consulting. So I was in management consulting for years, so working primarily in digital strategy and then mergers and acquisition strategy. And then when the pandemic hit, I found Purdys Chocolatier, and I've been there ever since.
Yeah. So, Purdys Chocolatier, you've been around for 105 years. Tell me over the years, in specifically within your time here, how you've been able to work to continue to build that brand name, as a trusted and loved, family chocolate.
At the core of it, it relies on an amazing product. And I think what really differentiates us, what's different about us compared to a lot of other, options that may be out there, is the freshness. And we hold ourselves to a level of freshness that is far and above what the legal standard might be. So, legal standard says you got to be X. We want to be half of X in terms of, the amount of time. So, we're really rigorous about if something doesn't look right, it can't be in the shop. And that kind of builds the core. The business is really built around the product, but then, as we built the brand over time, it's really come to be emphasizing a lot of those important celebrations for people. And Canada's a real melting pot, or it's a very diverse country. So we, initially Christmas is a huge focus for us. Valentine's Day is a huge focus for us. Easter is a huge focus for us. But to grow our brand and grow who we are with more and more Canadians, we feel it's very important to be an inclusive brand. And so we've had a real push in the last 10 or so years to just add more holidays and to try to recognize celebrations of people who aren't celebrated by all business and groups that aren't celebrated by all businesses. So I mean, we do Hanukkah, we do Lunar New Year, we do Raksha Bandhan, we do Diwali, we do Nowruz, you name it, we do it. And to that same token, we also focus that inclusivity not just across different communities, but also across different groups of people. So for example, last year we launched our Braille Box campaign, which was a box of chocolates that had Braille on the top of it. So someone who was low vision or was not able to see could find their favorite chocolate. And I think what was so amazing about that experience in particular is when you provide something for a group of folks who for whom they haven't had it before, it's really exciting, you know. And I think for blind folks, a lot of what we heard was that people really enjoyed the autonomy and the freedom of being able to find their own box of chocolates and not needing to ask somebody to help about knowing what's in what spots. You know, particularly in the last 10, 15 years, that inclusivity across communities and across ethnicities and across different groups of people has become so important for us, because at the end of the day, we're about gifting and about thoughtfulness and about caring for your neighbors. So that's really important to us.
Yeah.
And that's part of what we built our brand story around.
So that brand story, that's really interesting. And, you know, the autonomy that you're giving to someone who, you know, may not have the vision that, you know, other people do, the ability to be autonomous, and, you know, picking a chocolate is something is, you know, that you may not necessarily think of, like that is a really fantastic story and a really great way to show that Purdys Chocolatier is really trying to be as inclusive as possible in a field that, you know, I don't think necessarily people would think of that all the time.
We're really grateful that it's gotten the pickup it has. We have language internally that we refer to as Purdys moments. And so, you know, we're a super emotional company. You know, everybody here is emotional. I'm an emotional guy. People are emotional people here. It's really nice. But our Purdys moments are kind of times when you see people, us being involved in some kind of a emotional story in somebody's lives. And so for me, my favorite one is that happened to me personally was just in a kind of Buy Nothing Facebook group in my community, seeing there was an elderly lady who was kind of isolated. She didn't have a lot of friends or family around, and she'd been involved in this Buy Nothing group, and she made a really nice post about how she'd felt isolated, she'd had no one around her. And then in the Buy Nothing group, she'd really found a community, and part of that had come through this teacher. Teachers, in particularly in Vancouver, got a lot of parties at Christmas time from all the students. And so a teacher had gifted her this, someone she didn't know.
Yeah.
And photo, she wrote a really nice post. And, you know, that was somebody feeling cared about and feeling thought of in a context that they hadn't had before. And, you know, we're not the main character in that story. The main character is obviously the lady and the teacher, but we're a character in that story.
Absolutely.
We kind of help facilitate that sort of thing. And so that's what we think about as Purdys moments. And there was a lot of wonderful ones that came out of the Braille Box experience as well, of meeting low vision people who were excited and just felt seen.
Yeah.
And really nice to feel seen.
Yeah. So those Purdys moments, you know, you talked a little bit about kind of the hitting all the different holidays, the Purdys moments. Talk to me a little bit about the target audience of Purdys Chocolatier, because it sounds like you're expanding a lot, but through like your marketing and in your experience, kind of talk to me about the trends of what you've seen with that.
You know, when we think about our target audience, our target individual, you know, we think about a female identifying individual who's probably 30 to 45 in age, has 8 to 12-year-old children, likely lives in the suburbs. You know, we have various names for just kind of subdivide by preference and things like that. We'll call her Emma. We'll call her Emma in this context. Yeah, and it's good to be specific. And I think what's significant about this individual for our context is they're really building a life in a community. They're moving out, they're getting involved in the parent action committee of their school, they're involved in sports clubs and teams with their kids. And they're kind of the glue of their local community. You know, they're someone that really likes to show care and show thoughtfulness for the people around them. They like to give gifts. They like to make people feel thought about.
Yeah.
And you know, it's really nice. I think maybe in consulting, I work for various organizations through that, and you kind of have different target customers and whatever you're thinking about. But nice thing about our target customers, I really like Emma. She's great. She's a nice person. You know, she's salt of the earth. She cares about people around her, and so it's important to have empathy for her as an individual.
Yeah.
You know, we also have a significant channels in fundraising and working with corporate groups. So you know, the target audiences in those areas are related but similar, particularly in fundraising. Emma, who you know buys chocolates and buys gifts for people around her, she's also very likely to participate in a fundraising campaign at her school. And so those are kind of a key crossover for us. But yeah, those are kind of the main details. We talked a bit about communities before. Most of our customer base is Caucasian, but Canada is such a diverse country. And so we've done a lot in the last 10, 15 years to really branch that out. So as we're growing as a business, it has a lot to do with branching out to, there's people of all communities that fit the description of Emma. So it's finding the celebrations that are important to them and trying to bring offerings that matter to them and allow them to demonstrate that thoughtfulness for the people in their lives.
Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure I'm understanding this correct, kind of the different avenues through which someone can purchase Purdys or, that way. So it sounds like one, there could be fundraisers is one of the ways that Purdys is used. Two, it sounds like, direct sales. But does Purdys also do B2B or to sell to businesses who then sell out? Like, talk to me a little bit about that.
So we are primarily a retail business. That is the core, that is our history. So we have 81 shops across Canada. They're primarily in malls. We take corner mall locations. That's kind of one subset. And that's really consumer facing at the end of the day. We have e-commerce, which again sells to individuals on e-commerce. You can go to Purdys.com and buy your North Pole caramels or any other products today. Or you can find us on fundraising. And so fundraising would operate with a coordinator. So somebody in the pack kind of raise money for the big band trip down to Las Vegas. And so she works the Purdys fundraiser. She sets up kind of a website. And then anybody who accesses the link through that website can purchase chocolate, raise money, get a 25% profit margin on that, and allow those kids to get down to Vegas and play the music, which will be fun for all of them, I'm sure. And then lastly, we have a corporate gifting channel that really services primarily for like client gifting in and around, particularly in and around the Christmas period. We do it all year round, but companies, lawyers, doctors, real estate, it's nice to stay in front of your clients, right? And so sending them a nice gift that is at a good price point but feels valuable is a nice thing to do and kind of maintain that relationship. So that's kind of another segment that we have within that grouping.
Awesome. Well, Scott, if you were to leave our listeners with one thing, either kind of about the space, about Purdys Chocolatier, or just a fun fact, what would you want to leave our listeners with?
Customer empathy piece is the biggest part. I think that's what's really important for us, is in just knowing and liking our customer. And so by knowing and liking our customer, we can try to cater to the things that they're looking for in particular, that she's looking for in particular. And so for us, that really means just, I go back to demonstrating thoughtfulness, like that's the core of what we do, is allowing people to show that they care about each other. And so that's, gifting is a love language, right? Lots of people that demonstrate that as a love language, and that's amazing. And so I think, if I'm taking it back from like a business lens, it's really layering on the segmentation, who are users, who are buy, and then adding on that segment of empathy, of really caring about this individual, so you can think about what they want. And I think that's kind of the approach that we take in our business, is in liking and caring about who our target audience is and who our customer is. We're an emotional company, like I said, and so we're not robotic in how we look at these things. We're always very warm in how we look at these things.
Yeah. Well, Scott, this has been a great conversation about Purdys Chocolatier. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me, to tell me about, your target audience, talk about Emma, to talk about all the great things that, how empathetic Purdys has been, and also to, inclusive, which is, I think, a great, venture and part of the company that makes Purdys Purdys.
Oh, great. Well, thanks for having me, Kelsey.